Meta has automated away every advantage you used to have. They've killed everything else and left only one way for you to win: creative. Meta has made media buying so much easier that we'd rather invest 70 to 75% of our overall marketing budget into great creative strategists and creative systems than just spending a ton of money on a media buyer who has the latest and greatest campaign structure. And to be honest, that's amazing news for you, because now you can beat people who used to out-target, outbid, and quite literally push you around with more ad spend, just by your creatives being better than theirs. As an agency owner that's generated over $325 million in client sales through paid media over the last 7 years, in this video I'm going to show you how we built what I call the creative engine, a system that took a client from $144,000 to $1 million a month while simultaneously dropping their cost per acquisition from $566 to $432, and how you can build the same system to beat competitors with 10 times your budget. That kind of leverage is possible based on how the algorithms actually work. It doesn't just show your ads to people. It learns from every watch, scroll, stop, click, and purchase. Those are all the signals feeding back into the algorithm, training it to find more people who have been engaging with your creative. That's why your creative is so important, because when your creative performs, the algorithm gets progressively better at finding people who look like the ones who already bought, and your CPA trends downward over time. When your creative doesn't perform, everything starts going wrong. Your targeting drifts away from your ideal buyer, spend starts flowing toward audiences that are cheaper to reach but harder to convert, and may not fit your offer. And in the end, the account quietly deteriorates while the numbers stay close enough to barely tolerable that most people miss it. Most advertisers, they're stuck in the loop right now, still launching 5 to 10 subpar creative concepts a month like it's 2019 and wondering why they're stuck. Now, to understand why that is not enough anymore, you need to look at what the math actually requires. In Q1 of 2026, we launched 411 video creative concepts across our client accounts. 54 were winners in testing at a 13% win rate. Of those, only 20 maintained or cut CPA when we pushed real money behind them. 20 out of 411 actually scaled. From an agency that's been doing this for 7 years and generated $325 million in client sales doing this. Now, if you're putting out 10 creatives a month while your competition is averaging 40 to 50, the math on who finds enough winners to sustain scale runs one way. Now, volume alone is not the answer, and this is where most people get it wrong. Mass producing concepts without a real hypothesis behind each one collapses your win rate and is going to burn $900 to $1,650 per concept on things that we're never going to convert in the first place. What actually works is fewer, better concepts, each one matched to the right stage of market awareness with a clear reason behind why the specific angle will land with the specific person watching it. At a 25% win rate, 6 or 7 of those will hold in the creative testing campaign. But when it's time to start putting real money behind them, only 20 to 30% will win. Creatives with zero thought to the hypothesis of why they're gonna work at the same volume are not. Now, beyond volume and quality, there is one more thing most people are getting completely wrong, and it's the format. For us, 60-second videos had 0 winners at scale in Q1. 0. 90 seconds produced 10 winners. 120 to 300 second long video concepts produced 26 of the 36 total winners. And the reason is simple. It is progressively harder to establish the context, pre-handle the objections, and the right framing for a big enough problem that your ideal buyer would want the answer to, all in less than 60 seconds. It's obviously not impossible. There are ways you can pull it off. But why would you want to try when the data clearly shows that the odds are not on your side when advertising for big ticket purchases with short ads? So the 3 problems every advertiser is facing right now are not enough creative, not enough good creative, and the wrong format for what they are actually trying to sell. The creative engine that we've built fixes all three, and that is what the next section is about. A client came to us doing $144,000 a month in revenue, and 3 months later, they were at $1 million a month. Another scaled to $1.8 million a month at a 3.31 ROAS, while we simultaneously dropped their CPA from $566 to $432. And now, none of that came from a smarter campaign structure. It came from the system behind how we produce, test, and scale creative every single time. And that system was built to fix 3 specific problems that if you're running paid ads right now, you almost certainly have all 3 of. Problem 1, you're not treating creative like an investment. Most people treat creative like a task. A brief goes out, a video comes back, it gets launched, and nobody stops to ask whether this concept actually has a shot at working before the money gets spent producing it. That matters a lot more than most people realize because of what it actually costs every time you launch a concept. Based upon us using hourly time tracking against the fully loaded cost of full-time team members in our agency, here's the range of costs that goes into each phase of producing a fully hypothesized creative that has a high chance of becoming a winner at scale. Here at Client Accelerators, we break creative production into 4 main phases. For the first phase, you have pre-production. That's going to include the brief, the script, the scheduling, and that's going to cost anywhere from $100 to $200. Now, this is where ideation happens. Every concept goes through a scoring process before anything gets approved. A senior media buyer and creative strategist have to be aligned on why the specific angle will resonate with the specific audience before it moves forward. This ensures we are not wasting money producing ideas that have a low shot at becoming winners at scale. Nothing is going to get approved without that. Then you have phase number 2, which is going to be your filming. Now these costs are going to include the talent, the equipment, the time on camera, and the cost range is anywhere from $350 all the way up to $600 when you add up everyone's time involved to move through the stage. And this is where most people get it wrong. People argue with me all the time. They're like, hey man, it doesn't cost me $600 to film, a couple creatives. And that's because they are not tracking their own time. Put it like this, if you make $500,000 a year and you divide that by 2,080 working hours, your time is worth around $240 an hour. So when you factor in the hours you spend on prep, filming, multiple takes, B-roll capture, and coordination, that $350 to $600 number, it becomes very real, very fast. The people who think they're doing it for free, they're not doing it for free. They're just not counting what their time actually costs. Then you got the third phase, post-production. You got the editing, the color, the sound, the graphics. That's anywhere from about $150 to $250 to move through the stage. And then you have the fourth phase, which is creative testing, where you have to spend money to get enough data to make a real decision on whether or not this concept is a winner in creative testing. And that's going to usually range anywhere from $300 to $600 depending on the target CPA, which means every single time a concept goes live, you're making about a $900 to $1,650 investment before a single result comes back. So most people are going to treat creative production and creative testing like it basically costs nothing, which is why they're going to approve a concept with maybe a 5% chance of winning in creative testing just because it sounds fun, or maybe you like the idea or the client likes the idea. And what that looks like in practice is a win rate that sits below 10% month after month, where every concept that fails still costs the full $900 to, let's say, $1,600. When you multiply that by the number of concepts you launch in a month, the wasted spend on production alone adds up to tens of thousands of dollars on things that had no real chance of working. We recently audited a Facebook ads account where the previous agency had a 2% win rate on new creative concepts, and they were spending about $300,000 a month. Basically, they had one creative that was taking up 90% of the spend, which was launched 9 months ago, and they had found essentially no major winning creative concepts since, which caused the cost per qualified call on their call funnel to rise at an average of 22% month over month before we took over. Now, before anything gets approved for production, the only question that matters is whether this concept has a 50 to 60% chance of winning in testing. Not is it creative, not does the client love it, does it have a real shot based upon what we know about the market, the stage of awareness, and the win rate at scale for creatives that have worked before. If the answer is no, it does not get made, because that filter alone kills an enormous amount of wasted ad spend on production and testing for concepts that were never gonna work. Now, problem 2, most people have no definition of what a creative winning concept actually is. This is one that quietly destroys most ad accounts, and nobody realizes it is happening until the damage is done. And the pattern is always the same. You launch an ad, day 1, the numbers look incredible. CPA is well below target, and everyone is excited. Day 3, you start scaling it. And day 5, the CPA has completely blown up and nobody knows why. What happened is you called something a winner before it proved anything. Ads always look good for a day or two, then they die. So you launch more to replace them, none of which were properly ideated or proven to be winners, so they die after a few days too. And because you think the answer is more volume, you just keep launching and keep watching things die after 3 days in an endless cycle. Nothing ever compounds, nothing ever scales, and the account just churns through creatives constantly while CPA stays high. Now, the fix starts with having an actual definition of what a winner is before anything goes live. Now, we define a creative concept as a group of ads sharing the same core idea, and a variation is a different execution of that idea. So each concept is going to get 3 to 4 variations running simultaneously in each ad set. Now, for a concept to be a winner in testing, the minimum spend threshold before you make any call on it is going to be tied to where your target CPA actually sits. In order to get an accurate target CPA to shoot for, you need to be doing monthly projections on each funnel you're running, because the target CPA is a variable moving target that depends on levels of spend, seasonality, and ultimately your last 90-day baseline data. For example, a client came to us last month that has been spending, $300,000 a month regularly across YouTube and Meta on their call funnel, and they wanted to double the spend to $600,000. Now, we have regularly been around a cost of about $130 to $155 per qualified call over the past few years. We know with that much extra spend, we need to adjust the cost per click to increase by about 25 to 35% to stress test the model and make sure it still backs out into their target CPA. So the previous month, we set a $140 target CPA for qualified calls, and this month we set a $175 target that we were optimizing the campaigns and creative win rate around. Now that we have the target CPA for the month, we were then able to set a multiplier for testing each concept based upon a range of targets. So under a $100 target CPA, we're going to usually go 3.5 to 4x your CPA in spend per concept. $100 to about $149 target CPA, we'll probably do a 3x multiplier. $150 to $249, it's going to be anywhere from 2 to 2.5. And above $250, it's going to be about 1.5 to 2x. The higher the target CPA, the smaller the multiplier, because the dollar amount of each test is already large enough to give you real data. So a $200 target CPA for, let's say, a qualified call means $400 to $500 in spend over 7 days before you make any decision on that creative concept. Now, here's where most people get this wrong. You're not gonna touch it on day 2 because the CTR looks off. You're not gonna pause it on day 4 because variation 1 is underperforming. During those 7 days, the algorithm is going through its learning phase, testing different audience segments, different placements, different times of day to figure out where this specific creative performs best. When you kill it early, you are not just losing that test. You are making a decision based on data from a campaign that had not yet finished optimizing. The numbers on day 2 are not representative of what the concept can actually do. You are essentially judging a race by how fast someone runs the first 100 meters. Now, if it hits target CPA consistently across that window, it's gonna graduate to a scale campaign. But passing the testing window is only the first gate. A winner in testing is a candidate, not a confirmed winner. For us, here's how we judge a winner at scale. It has to sustain a target CPA at 10x the CPA spend inside the scale campaign. Now, pushing more budget behind a candidate in the scale campaign before it has hit that 10x threshold is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. What happens when you do it is the CPA looks fine for the first week or 2, so you increase the budget because the early numbers looked good. Then CPA keeps rising. But the real problem is you committed real budget to something that was never truly proven to handle it. By the time that becomes clear, the damage has already compounded. One bad call turns into a big, expensive mess fast. And that is why so many ad accounts feel like they are constantly fighting CPA, and nothing ever fixes it for good. Now let's get into problem 3. Most people have no system for producing creative at the volume the math actually requires. So let's say you have a $400 target CPA for a low ticket offer. That means that that creative needs to spend $4,000 in the scale campaign and hold or decrease that $400 CPA throughout before you call it a winner at scale. So recently, a client came to us wanting to hit $2 million a month in revenue. Now, based upon our projections, the funnel math says we need to spend $500,000 on ads to get there. Now, let me go through how we figured this out methodically, how many creative winners we need. Okay, so the starting point is going to be your monthly ad spend divided by the average lifetime spend per winning creative concept at scale. Now that calculation is going to tell you how many winners you need running at any given time. So in that $500,000 ad spend example, if your average lifetime spend on a winning concept is $30,000, then you need about 17 winners. That number is going to drive everything that comes after it. From there, you're going to split those 17 winners that you need into creative type. And what we usually find is video concepts have a much higher average lifetime spend than static. So in this example, we're going to have 80% of our concepts are going to be videos. 20% are going to be statics. So 17 winners means 14 videos have to be found that are going to win, about 3 to 4 statics to give you some room from there. Lastly, you'll find the amount of total creative concepts needed to arrive at those 17 winners by working backwards from your win rate. So let's say your win rate is ideally 25% on your actual concepts. Getting to 14 video winners means testing 56 video concepts per month. For statics, if your win rate is about 23%, getting to 3 to 4 static winners means testing 18 statics that month. That's a total of 74 concepts that month. Every single one of those traces directly back to the revenue number you started with. As you can see, this is not producing 74 ad concepts in this example for the sake of it. You're producing them because if you do not hit that minimum, the math on your scaling campaigns simply does not work. Now, there are some edge cases where you're gonna have a breakthrough concept that will allow you to spend 50 to 60% of your overall total ad budget for that month on that one concept while maintaining CPA. But this is the exception and it's not the rule. Producing and launching creative through the formula we just went over gives you enough room for error so you don't miss your target. Now, producing at that volume consistently without letting quality slip starts with a weekly ideation process. Every week in our agency, one of our senior creative strategists leads an ideation session, ideally generating 40 plus ideas for each and every single client. Every idea gets scored on stage of awareness, lead type, and whether the angle has genuine legs before it gets approved. The majority of these ideas get cut at this stage, and that is by design. Because when there is no filter and everything that sounds interesting gets approved, the production queue fills up with concepts chasing trends, copying competitors, or built on, what the team thinks is cool, rather than what the data says the audience actually needs to hear. Win rates drop, cost per concept goes up, CPA rises, and the team spends more time producing things that fail than finding the ones that actually scale. Now, the ideas that do make it through get treated like the investments they are. Each approved idea in Asana gets a unique ID that follows them from the ideation queue through production all the way through our proprietary win rate dashboard that really allows us to track win rate end to end. Each idea also gets added into the ad name in Facebook ads, so we can pull that ID back into our dashboard whenever we need it. This way, nothing falls through the cracks and you always know exactly where every concept is and how it performed. From there, scripts get written to templates matched to the stage of awareness and lead type of the audience being targeted. This matters because a copywriter writing an offer lead for a cold audience that has never heard of the product is going to be burning multiple thousands of dollars on a concept that cannot statistically convert based upon the context it is in. The template system prevents that mismatch from ever happening because the script format is determined at one of our ideation sessions before a single word gets written. Now, once the script is locked, it's going to move into production. The client films the footage, video gets edited with multiple scene changes, B-roll, and all that to maintain attention, and then it goes into our Slack approval bot where the client reviews and approves directly inside Slack. Now, once they approve, the media buying team is able to either launch immediately if they actually have creative testing budget left. If not, it goes into a queue to be launched once there is budget freed up. Now, there's no lag, no bottlenecks, just execution. The target for our creative cycle time from idea to live ad is 15 days. And I'm proud to say we currently sit at 8 days to essentially create an idea, write the script, get the raw footage back from a client, edit it, get it fully approved, and launched. The Slack bot alone cut 2 days off that cycle just by removing the back and forth in Slack. Every day a concept sits waiting for approval is a day it's not generating data and not feeding our actual creative testing and scaling campaigns. Now, finding a winner is only a part of it. What you do with that winner once you have it is where people let a significant amount of revenue fall through the cracks. When something wins, we do not immediately go looking for the next new concept. Instead, we're going to run 3 proven iterations on that winner first, because when we have a winner, we want to squeeze everything we can from it. The first iteration is a super edited version, which has a very high win rate. Now, this has faster pacing, split screens, more B-roll, and the faster pacing is really going to reduce the drop-off rate, which means more people are watching long enough to actually be sold on the offer. We found the additional B-roll keeps visual retention high so the message lands without the viewer checking out halfway through. Now, the second iteration that we love to use is a UGC version filmed by a third-party creator. A new face delivering the same proven message resets audience fatigue. The people who saw the original version and did not convert get a second exposure that feels completely different, even though the core message and the core concept is identical. Female creators specifically have consistently outperformed across our portfolio because for the majority of offers we run, they are led by males. So they're seeing a male in the ad creative all the time. So when we introduce a female creator, we open up a new audience and it's proven to generate higher CTRs and a lower CPA overall. Now, you only want to hire creators and use them for winning concepts because they cost quite a bit of money, from $150 all the way up to $500 per concept, just depending on who you're actually working with. Now, the third iteration is new hooks, and specifically, we really like testing AI generated hooks, tested against the same winning script body. So the hook is going to be one of the highest leveraged variables in any ad. Swapping it changes who stops to watch without touching the proven body that is already converting. And because you are only changing one variable at a time, you always know exactly what moved the needle. Each of those three iterations extends the lifespan of a proven concept significantly without the full production cost of starting from scratch. Now, behind all of this is the operational structure that makes it repeatable across every single client account. The key to making this work is our pod system. Each client gets a growth marketing manager, a creative strategist, a copywriter, a few video editors, senior media buyers for YouTube and Facebook ads, and a project manager coordinating all the roles towards our monthly agreed upon target. At the macro level, the entire pod is held accountable to the same core metrics: CPA targets, number of active winners in the scale campaign, and monthly revenue output. Those get reviewed every week. So here's some of the targets for the creative-led roles in the pod. For the creative strategists, we need them to hit a 20% or higher win rate monthly. The copywriter is expected to produce 20 scripts per week with under a 10% revision rate. The video editors are expected to produce 3 edited concepts per day with a 95% first draft approval rate internally and 100% of revision requests completed within 48 hours of feedback. And the reason those numbers exist is because without them, the whole system breaks down. A creative strategist without a win rate target is going to just keep approving concepts that feel good instead of concepts that are statistically likely to work. A video editor without a first draft approval rate is going to send work that needs multiple revision rounds, adding days to the cycle and pushing launch dates back. Every day a concept sits in revision is a day it is not generating data and not feeding the scale campaign. So here is exactly how you apply this yourself. Step 1, run the math before you touch your budget. Monthly ad spend divided by average lifetime spend per winner is going to give you your winning target. Split that by creative type. Divide by win rate, and that is your monthly production number. We had a client scaling from $500K to $1 million a month in ad spend. The math said they needed 33 winners, which meant 130 to 135 concepts in testing that month. They hit it, doubled spend, held CPA. The math works when you actually follow it. Step 2, break that monthly number into weekly targets and track it daily. If you need 90 concepts, that is 40 ideas every single week. Real-time dashboards and daily trackers are what keep the team accountable to never missing that number. 1 concept per ad set, 3 to 4 variations, a 1% lookalike of your best customers from the last 180 days, same geo, same age, same placements across every single creative test. Keep every variable controlled so you always know what moved the needle on the concept level. Step 4, follow the thresholds and the 10x rule we covered. Write them down. Do not deviate on day 2 when you get impatient. Step 5, squeeze every winner with the 3 iterations before you move on. That is the full system in sequence. Now, I know that was a lot, and the last thing I wanted for this video was to just go over some general concepts, say some BS here and there, and walk out looking like a pro. What I just walked you through is genuinely a small part of what actually goes into scaling a paid ads account to the numbers we talked about today. Because underneath the creative system, there is a whole other layer. Funnel optimization, offer testing, sales team alignment, back-end conversion work. And that layer is just as responsible for the result as the ads themselves. So here's a quick example of what I mean. We had a client where, the show rate on their sales calls was sitting at 61%. Not terrible, but not great either. Not where we wanted it. So what we did was we rewrote the VSL on their thank you page, and the show rate went to 68%. And that one change alone added about an additional $60,000 in net profit that month. And it's compounding every month going forward. Now, that is the kind of work that sits underneath everything I just walked you through. And it is why the creative system alone is never the full picture. So if you're spending real money on paid ads right now and you feel like you're doing everything right, but the numbers are not moving the way they should, there's a very good chance we could find exactly where the problem is and fix it, because we have done it across hundreds of clients and $325 million in revenue over the past 7 years. If you want us to look at your account, understand what you are working with, and tell you exactly what we would do differently, click the link below and book a call, and we will take a look at everything and let you know if we think we can actually help. And if we don't think you're the right fit, we're gonna tell you that too, and maybe we'll send you to one of our buddies who's a better fit for you. Book a call through the link below, and we'll see if you qualify to work with us.